Yo, what's going on, guys? Enough of the intros and stuff like that. We're gonna get right back into it. But I still gotta say it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna be continuing on the drag and drive Yukon build. I'm gonna show you guys pretty much what I got going on and stuff like this. And it's kind of like gonna be a crash course on how to swap in your torque converter for your 6L80E for electronic transmission. Typically, if you got a 6L80, it's guaranteed that it's going to be an E because it's an electronic transmission. All right, let me show you guys what now. You guys can already see that we have the stock torque converter. You can probably zoom in and pause on that. The stock torque converters and these things typically like to go doo-doo. That's because the clutch lining and the plate, there's always like hot spots like right here where it was welded and mated from the factory. And don't quote me on this, I am not like a General Motors engineer. I'm basically just regurgitating the same crap that I read online and stuff like that. That the torque converters like to take a crap, especially when you probably exceed 20 horsepower on the 4L80, I'm sorry, the 6L80 transmission. I think the 6L80 transits are only good really for about 450 wheel horsepower. Now with this being like a 6,000 pound truck and it being all-wheel drive, yeah, that's gonna be a combination for disaster. So let me show you guys the custom torque converter that I got. That's right, look who came through. Out of like countless questions and messages and phone calls and stuff like that, I'm gonna give a big shout out to FTI. This video is not sponsored, by the way, but I contacted FTI. Basically, they answered like all my questions and stuff like that. I told them what I was building and my cam specs, the turbo specs, the future specs and stuff like that, how the truck is basically going to be NA for right now. And they basically gave me like a good triple disc converter that's really going to be meeting my horsepower goals and stuff like that. And they were like, dude, you know, you can always send it in for a refresh and an inspection and stuff like that. Of course, you always got to pay like a little bit of something. That's basically it. And they was like, hey, look, and then if you decide to exceed like those horsepower numbers, we always got something, you know, that can basically take care of everything that you throw at it. So again, special shout out to FTI. Again, this video is not sponsored, by the way. I'm just, like I said before, I like to give thanks to people and companies who have like excellent customer service, because it's like, if your customer service is crap, I don't want to buy your product. I don't care how big your name is. And I think a lot of people can agree with that. So this is a custom spec. It's actually pretty cool too. Like, if I wanted to toss this in like an old style transmission, TH400, Turbo 350, Power Glide and stuff like that, they gave me like the little snout pilot bushing. And this thing is pretty freaking stout, man. It's a stout unit. Let me try to do this with one freaking hand. Oh my, these things are massive. It's got the 6 pucks on it too, even though probably with my Bonafide flex plate, I'm probably going to only be using about 3 of the holes. I like how you got like a pair here, a pair there, and a pair right here. The other ones have singles. I'm probably going to be using the one with the pair. I'm not going to tell you guys. The only thing I can tell you guys about the torque converter is that it is a triple disc. I'm not going to tell you, you know, my RPM, install speed and stuff like that, because I don't want everyone to imitate my truck. Yeah, so this part is really going to be simple. We're going to take the old torque converter out, put the new one in, and video's over. We also forgot to mention that it did come with like 3 torque converter bolts, grade 8 hardware. I'm probably going to use those. I'm probably not. I did get a good deal on some ARP torque converter bolts, so I'm probably going to use those. Typically, before you install your torque converter, these little notches right here, are going to come in handy, and I'm going to explain it to you guys in a couple seconds and stuff like that. So what we got to do is sloppily fill the torque converter. I should be using a funnel, but I don't care. It's always proper to fill your torque converter. And what I'm putting in here right now is basically GM grade Amsoil transmission fluid. Went over to one of my buddy's shops and was like, hey, look, can I borrow like a couple quarts of that? And he's like, yeah, whatever. So you want to make sure that you properly, I'm glad I basically spilled some here. I kind of like want to just lubricate everything. Not like this really matters. It's like an old school hot rod thing. Like anything that's going to be metal to metal soon, you kind of just like want to lubricate it beforehand. That's it. It actually looks properly filled, but don't be fooled. Another old school thing is like you want to put this thing on like on a flat table or something like that, not the ground, because then you'll mess up the paint in the snout. And give this thing a couple spins, and that would get the transmission fluid like really in between like all the fins and stuff like that. You can kind of see now like how it's kind of like going down. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to fill it, spin it, and then we're going inside. Hey, look at that. That's the number. Great. I guess I shouldn't have shown that. But they did pick an off-the-shelf one, and I told them what I was going to be doing. He was like, oh yeah, this will be custom. We'll change a couple things, and we'll give you a triple disc. All right, now that we have the old torque converter out, we have the new torque. I can't even say it. We got the new torque converter going in. Guys, remember the two notches that I was talking about? Typically, also, when you take out your old torque converter, you kind of want to measure the distance between the mounting pads that are on the torque converter that go to the flex plate between the transmission. That's kind of like your fully seated measurement, but I kind of did that off camera and stuff like that. So I already know the measurements and the bump out and stuff. So those two little tabs, I really can't zoom in because like I'm using my iPhone. But if you look down in the shaft and stuff like that, you will see two tabs. That's typically where those two interlocking tabs must go. And normally, when you slide this bad boy in, you're gonna hear about like 3 clicks. Not your standard 2 clicks. You're gonna have like 3 clicks. That definitely lets you know that it's gonna be in there. So unfortunately, it's kind of hard to record and install with one hand and another hand basically lifting like a 25-pound torque converter that's now filled with fluid. You guys are just gonna have to bear with me with the old movie magic. Man, this thing is light. I'm gonna try to see if I can replicate what I'll be talking about. So we got it. I'm gonna keep turning, see if we can interlock everything. Because you can kind of see right there, like with the inspection hole, I won't be able to access the bolts. So that's a clear indication that the torque converter is not seated all the way. Bam. Should be one more. Yep. Good rule of thumb, you can access the torque converter bolts right through there. You're typically in good money, but I'm going to do this about 2 or 3 times. Make sure that I have my 2 interlocking tabs going into the transmission, and that's going to be done, baby. This is a very light torque converter too. So that's pretty much it. That's really like a crash course on how to install your torque converter that's going inside of your 6L80. Even before I reinstall the engine and stuff like that, I'm definitely going to make sure that I have everything lined up within spec, because I look at it like you can really mess up your transmission and your front pump if that thing is not like properly seated. And it's kind of like, hey, do you want to pull the engine or do you want to pull the trans? Because One of the two is going to happen if you properly don't fill and seat your torque converter inside your transmission, especially with this thing being all-wheel drive. It's crazy. I would have to like take out so much crap. You know, just nothing up here really, but it's like, geez Louise. All right, so that's it, guys. Yeah, it's been a minute, and look, the Blazer is still here, and I still didn't give you guys like, you know, a full in-depth detour of you know, the workshop and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's basically a crash course on how to install your 6L80 torque converter. That generally applies to 4L80s, 6L80Es, 4L80Es and stuff like that, all the modern transmissions. It really applies to a lot of transmissions. So now you guys are probably wondering like, okay, well, you got a flex plate, you got your torque converter in. Basically, the engine should be going in right now, and it absolutely is going to be. And I'm going to start that tomorrow. I'm going to do my rear main seal and stuff like that because, you know, got the engine back. They just basically give it back bare. You got to put in your new seal, your new gaskets and stuff like that on the back side. So I got to do that. And I guess I will just catch you live. It's so hot, I can't even freaking talk. I will catch you guys later in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe and all that other crazy stuff. I miss my Pontiac G8, but I love trucks.